We are going to create a screen recorder. Now, it would interest you to know that this video that you are watching right now was recorded by this screen recorder that we are going to do. So, if you like what you see, then we will do something similar. To show you, I would copy this URL here, which is my local host, to show you that this is what I'm using to record this. And then I'll go to incognito and I will click here. You see the same thing. I'll click on start recording. I'll pick a screen and I'll share. It's going to ask me for my microphone, and also it will ask for my camera, and then it starts recording. You can click on stop sharing. You can also show your video if you want to show your webcam. So if I click on this, you see my webcam below. If I toggle that, it shows and it goes away. So once you are done, you click on stop recording, and then you immediately play it back to you right here, and you can play it, and then you can do whatever you want to do with it. So this is what we are going to be building in this tutorial. Now if you also click on stop sharing here, it will also stop the whole thing from sharing, but I don't want to do that because that would even stop this video that I am recording for you right now, my own. All right, so you can expand it as much as you want, but this is just what we are going to be building right now. So this would give you a guide on the Navigator API for media devices. You will learn how to get the display media, learn how to get user media, the audio and the video, and then also how to manipulate it, convert the chunk that you get into a blob, and also how to render it like this, and maybe whatever I want to do with the content that you get back. So sit back and relax. Let's get straight to the video. Let us understand what we want to build at first. So what are we looking to build? What is screen recording? Screen recording is basically we taking screenshots of whatever the device is displaying. So if you come to a page, for example, I want to do screen capture, as it will be called on the MDN documentation. What are we doing? So if the device shows us this, we want to take a screenshot of that. If the device shows us this, we want to take a screenshot of this. And then if it shows us, for example, this is my GitHub page, we want to take a screenshot of that. So that is what basically happens with screen recording. So I have this simple diagram here that I want to explain what we want to do. So if you understand this simple diagram, then the code we want to write will be easy to understand for you. Okay, so if you look at this here, let's call this a bucket. But what this is holding, if you look very well, are the content of this, and this. And that is the same thing that the screen recording will do. So we are going to have something similar to a bucket like this. And then when we come here, we take a screenshot of A and we add it here. We take a screenshot of B and we add it to the bucket. We take a screenshot of C and we add it to the bucket. The same thing for D. So at the end of the day, the combination of A, B, C, D becomes the content that was shared. So if you want to broadcast this, for example, to other users who are maybe like you're in a meeting or something and you are sharing your screen, we are just taking screenshots and passing those screenshots to those users, and they are viewing the content of that screenshot. But in this tutorial, what we want to do is basically we will grab all those screenshots and then we'll just render it back to you. Just like Loom would create that and then would have you, play it back to yourself, watch what you recorded, maybe download it if you want to. That is what we are going to do. But now that you understand what we want to do, you now say, okay, so how do we now get this screenshot and how do we store this screenshot? What type of content is that? Once we get coding, you will see that. But before I start coding, I want to say that this is the GitHub repo. I'll be adding a link to it in the video description. If you want to grab the code, the finished code, just go here and then close this repo, and then you can do whatever you want to do with it. Aside from that, if this is your first time on this channel, my name is Peter. I create content around web development front end and back end, database, the deployments. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not done so. And once you do that, let's continue with the video. So right here, I will open my IDE. So I'm using the Visual Studio Code. And then I have a folder I call it Screen Recorder. Inside this my folder, I have my index.html. I have in my CSS folder, I have my style.css. And then in my JavaScript, I have my script.js, even though it is empty, because majority of the code we want to write, or all the code we want to write, is basically in this script.js. I've written the CSS and the HTML. I don't want to waste your time writing that. So this is the HTML though, so that we can all run through it. Then here I have my body. Inside my body, I have this video element that has controls. And then I have these buttons, start and stop. The stop is disabled, so you can't click on it. And then I have this other video element here. This one has an ID of user video. This is basically my webcam. That is the purpose of that. Is going to serve as my webcam. And then I have this label here, which enables you to toggle if you want to show your webcam or not. And then I have this finally at the bottom, this script. This is a link to my script.js. Like I said, it is empty. But right now, I have it at the bottom because I want every other thing to have been loaded before this is loaded. With that being said, let's look at the styling. So if I go to this place, you see this is just generic style, resetting everything. And then this is HTML and body. I just added a background of white, color, a margin of 1 rem so that there will be a little spacing for each of these elements away from touching the screen. And then I have a style for the screen recorder. This screen recorder is where I want to display the content that was captured when the user recorded their screen. So it has a height of 240 pixels, a width of 320 pixels, and it is displayed none by default. Okay, so now this is the user video. It has a width of 50 pixels, height of 50 pixels. Position is fixed and it is at the bottom. If you look at this, and it has a border radius of 50 pixels, which is supposed to make it circular in a way, and it is displaying none. Initially, we don't want it to display at all. Both of them, we don't want it to display. The screen recorder would not display because it doesn't have any content in it. In the beginning, it has to record something. Somebody has to stop recording before there will be something here. As for this guy, we want you to only show when you toggle that you want to record, and you must be recording at that point. It is when you are recording and then you toggle that you want to record, that is the only time that we want to show you this your user video, which is basically your webcam. So that is the only thing we have in our HTML and our CSS. So we are going to go to where we'll do the bulk of the work, which is in our JavaScript. So let's go to this. I will click here and I'll come here. So what I want to do first of all is that I want to make sure that my JavaScript doesn't get caught until everything on the page has loaded. So I'm going to say document dot add event listener, and I want to listen for DOM content loaded. So I have GitHub Copilot, so you might be seeing those suggestions like that. Now what I want to do, once this is called that yes, DOM content has loaded, then I want to run the rest of the code. So what do I want to start with? I want to start first of all by getting all these elements here with their IDs, all these elements here. I've gotten all these elements with their IDs. So you have start recording button, stop recording button, screen recorder, user video, and toggle user video checkbox, which is a checkbox that you will click. You will click on it to toggle if you want to show your video or not. But before I proceed, let me show you how this will look in your browser right now. So if I go back here and I want to open it up with live server, so if you don't have live server installed, go to the extension tab, type live server, click on it and install it. So I'll go away from here, I'll put this away, and then when you have installed it, you just right click. Let me shrink a bit. Right click and you see open with live. Oh my god, open with live server. You click on it. If you don't have live server, you have to open it up in your browser. This is how it looks when you open it up. You have the start recording button, the stop recording button is disabled, and then the show user video. Obviously, no, like I said, this is the checkbox. If you want to show a video, you check on it. If you don't want to show a video, you click away. If you want to start, you click on this, and once you are done recording, you click on stop recording. Now let's get back to our scripts that we are writing. So we've selected all these elements. Now we want to define some variables. Remember, if you look at what we did here, remember that our target is to be able to take screenshots of this. No, just assume that these are different browser frames, or how would I call it, windows or something, or maybe just the media, maybe the whatever you have in your device that you can display. These are different versions of them, and then we are taking screenshot and keeping it somewhere, taking another screenshot, keeping it somewhere. So what we want to write now is, how do we actually take these screenshots and where do we store them? So let's go back to the code. So I'm going to say let media stream, comma, and also user media. So this is going to contain the one for the user media stream. No, please, no. And then we would have media recorder. I will explain what they are in a minute. Recorder. Okay, and we'll stop here. So this media stream is what is going to hold the content of our audio, and the media, which is the get display media, which is the screens that are being screenshotted. This media screen will hold it. This user media is going to hold the webcam, the content of the webcam. And this media recorder is going to be responsible for triggering the recording. It's going to enable us to be able to record. And we are going to call some events that are on this media recorder. And using that, we'll be able to grab the content and do some operation with that. Now, all these things I have said, you have not heard me mention what about where we'll be storing the things that we are screenshotting. That is the next thing we'll be defining. So we'll call it let recorded chunk. So whatever chunk has been grabbed, we call it recorded chunks. And then it is an empty array, because remember that we are going to be grabbing them and adding them into this bucket. So it is an array of whatever media we are grabbing, audio, video, they are all going to be here. Okay, let's go back. Now that we have this, what do we want to do? We want to start calling functions. So what if you call on the start recording button? So let's call it start recording function. So when you click on that start recording function, we want to call this method that we are defining right here. Now, because of the operation we want to perform inside here, it is going to be asynchronous, because we want to call on the navigator.media devices, and that is going to be asynchronous because the user has to enable us to take screens. We want to enable us to record audio. The user needs to enable us to record their camera to grab that. So it is asynchronous, and we have to await the result. So I'm going to say async. Did I spell that correct? Async function start recording. So that is that, and I'm going to say try catch. So right here, let me just write console for this error block, console.log error recording, and let me see. Yeah, so that is that. Starting recording. Okay, so with that being said, now what do we want to do? So right inside this place, what I want to do is that I want to make sure that each time you click on start recording, recorded chunk is set to an empty array. So I'm going to say recorded chunks is equal to an empty array. Okay, so after that, what do I want to do? I would come back to, there's something I need to do here. I will write it as to do, but I'll come back to it, and I will say revoke object URL. Just leave this. We'll come back to it. I don't want to do it now. I will give a reason when I come back for it. But besides that, what do we want to do? We want to grab the medias. Now, if you look at here, this is the first one. We are grabbing the screens. So all the screens that is being shown to us, we call await navigator dot media devices dot get display media. Keep this in mind. Get display media. This is what will capture the screens of our user or whoever is going to use this. This get display media. It is for you to capture the screens. So earlier on, you can pass some options or constraints. I added audio through some time back when I was working on this earlier, but then I noticed that it wasn't even capturing the audio. It simply captures the screen of the user. So I just removed this. Now this is the audio stream. This, if you look at this, the difference between these two is this is calling get user media and this is calling get display media. So what this simply means is that we want to grab your audio from using your microphone or whatever you have set up, and then we are saying that audio is true. We need to tell it that audio is true. It doesn't know that it is audio we want to grab. We need to say that audio is true, and then we pass some constraint for audio, echo cancellation, noise suppression, and etc. etc. If you want to see more, you could go to MDN documentation for screen capture API. The link will be in the video description. So the next thing that we grab is the user media. So we are saying that this user media here, user media stream, we are saying that it is await navigator dot media devices dot get user media, and this time around we are grabbing your video. So why this one is going to ask you for your microphone permission, which is your audio, this is going to ask you for your camera permission because it wants to take a video of you. So with that being said, what we now need to do after grabbing this user media is to set the media object for this. Remember, this is going to display the contents of your webcam. So if I go back now and I say user media dot source object is equal to user media string. So what I've simply done is that whatever I get here, whatever feed, whatever frames and pixels I capture for the user media, which is from the camera, I want to pass that as a source object to this video element here. Remember here it is muted and it's set to autoplay. So just keep playing. It is automatically playing those things. So when it captures my video, it keeps playing the videos as it's adding them, it keep playing. But for a normal user like us, what we are just seeing is that the video is playing. We are just seeing ourselves. You know, we don't know that it is being captured and then sent and then it's being. The next thing we need to do is to merge these two together. We want to merge the content of the screen that is being captured and the audio that we captured. And that is where our media stream comes in place. So I'm going to say media stream is equals to new media, and then we spread the contents of this get tracks. So we say screen dot 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 screen media dot get tracks. So these tracks is just whether it is audio or video or both of them. That is what this get track. So when you get a track, you can either get an audio or a video from the track. So in this case now, we want to spread it, and we do the same thing for the audio. We also spread that. So both of them has been combined into media stream. Now, after doing that, the next thing that we want to do is to create our media recorder. So we say media recorder is equal to new. We create an instance media recorder, and then we pass the media stream. You can just stop here and it works fine too, or you can also pass some options like, let me pass one, what kind of video you want to put. So we are expecting a MIME type. What kind of content we are expecting this media recorder to record for us? We are expecting a video / web m. And I want to remove this guy because last time I added this guy, the video quality was terrible. It was blurry, so I don't want to add that. So now we have this. What do we want to do? This media recorder returns some events for us that we can listen to. We can listen to when it starts recording and do something, We can listen to when it stopped recording. We can listen to when it starts getting its first content, when it is paused, when it is muted. There's so many things we can listen to. But we are interested in on when it starts getting its first video. We don't want to do anything when it starts recording. Maybe if you have an API that you want to tell that the video has started recording, for example, you can listen for on start and then do something with it. So let me click on this. Let me type this out and say media recorder dot. You see, add event listener, and we can listen for what? We can listen for a lot, but I don't want to use this way of add event listener and then I begin to pass data available, error, pause, resume, start, stop. I want to use like this. I just want to say media recorder dot on and then on data available, on error, on pause, on resume. There is no difference between the two. It's just the way it is written. So you can say add event listener on data, on error, on pause, but I just want to do it this way. I'm going to say on data available. So once there is a data available, and then I'm going to call this arrow function or pass the event. And I want to say I'm going to loop through the event. I'll look through the event and I want to check if the event data size is greater than 0, if there is something in it. So if the size is greater than 0, I want to pass it to my recorded chunk array by pushing it there. Now, this now makes sense. Let's get back to this. So this is the point where we grab whatever has been recorded and we pass it to this bucket here. So that is this line here. So we grab it, we call it on data available. Once there is something, we check if it is greater, the size is greater than 0. If yes, then we now pass it here. So we are passing A and we are passing B and we are passing C and we are passing D as long as the size is greater than 0. So we have been able to do that. But that is not all. What if it stops? What if it stops recording? What do we want to do? We want to also listen for that. So we're going to say on media recorder dot on stop. So once it stops, what do we want to do? We want to create a blob. So I say const blob. Let me just cover this. Const blob right here. We want to say a new blob. So we are creating an instance of a blob. A blob is simply a binary large object. Now, what does blob take? Blob takes an array, which is here we are passing the array of the recorded chunks. So we are taking this guy and we are passing it to blob. And then we are telling it that we want a type of video slash web app. So we don't really need this because we are, let me remove this in here. Please do remove that in your own side too. Now we don't need that because already here we are telling it, but I will leave that. But still here, I'm telling it what I want back. Now, right here, I now create a URL. So I'm taking the blob, I'm taking the content that we have screenshotted with the audio, and then I'm creating a blob for it. And I want to create a URL. This URL that I'm creating is just like when you grab maybe a YouTube link, for example, and then a YouTube video link, and then you add it as a video source. So down here, I now say that a screen recorder source is this URL. Now, if you don't understand what create object URL is doing, I have a video that will link to the top right section of this video. You can click to watch it and understand what it does, or you can simply read about it in the MDN documentation. So I pass it the blob, it creates a URL for me, and that URL now becomes the source of this screen recorder. Remember that this screen recorder is actually a video. Look at it here. This is a video. This is the ID screen recorder. And then the source becomes the URL. And now, once I do that, that is that. So whenever I receive the unstop event, I just take this guy, I create this, and then I pass this. Now, this is the reason why I have this comment here, because we need to revoke that object URL. We need to revoke it. If we do not revoke it, each time we record, we are going to still have the same content. That is the first content that we stored in this blob, but we need to revoke it. So now is a good time to fix this to do here. So right on top here, what do we want to do? We want to check if screen recorder has a source property. because generally it doesn't have anything. If you go back, we don't have anything. It is when it has recorded something and stop, it creates a blob and that. So if it has something we want to revoke, so we're going to see URL to revoke object URL, and then we pass whatever source that it is. Remember that that source is a blob, and we pass it and we say revoke it. So we like expire it so that we can now take new ones. So that to do needs to go away as I have fixed that problem. All right. So after that, what then should we do after we get to this point? Now, the next thing, I still have another to do that I want to add. I want to add that to do here. So I'm going to call it stop recording when screen share is stopped. So let me just actually to do. Once I get there, I would tell you why we need to do this. Okay, so it's a to do for now, but besides that, let's move on. So after we do this, we want to call the media recorder to start. So it is at this point that this video, this whatever we are building starts recording. So it doesn't matter that these guys are up because they are event listeners. So whenever this event is emitted or events are emitted, these guys will always listen for them. Now, after we do this, we want to disable the button for start recording because you already click on start recording. We want to disable it and then we want to toggle on the stop recording because you should be able to now stop recording. Right here, I have this code, and all it does is to, if you start recording, we disable this button, and then we enable the stop recording button to be clickable. The next thing we want to do is we want to also make sure that your webcam is not showing. So we're going to check and say if if you didn't toggle your checkbox, want to say that the user video.style the display is none. So this is, we are manipulating the CSS and we are telling it to set the display property to none. By default, it is none, to display none, but we also want to make sure that it is still like that. Okay, so with that out of the way, what do we now need to do? We need to now cater for the stop recording. For this to do, we'll come back to it. So what about when I click on the stop recording button? We need to have a function that will handle that. So let me call it stop recording function. So it is not going to be asynchronous. I'm just going to create stop recording. And what do we want to do? Once you click on stop recording, one thing we need to do, we just don't want to say the way we did media recorder to start, we just don't want to say media recorder to stop. We want to make sure that you're actually recording something before we stop. So we're going to say if media recorder, if it is not null, 1, and 2, if media recorder dot state is not equal to recording. So if it is not currently recording, we then know that we need to stop it. If it is in inactive, if it is in paused, or what else could be there, ended, there's no point saying that we want to stop it again because it already ended or something. So we're now going to call media recorder the stop because we are sure that it is still recording and it is not null. And then we just do the reverse of what we did here. So we are going to say we now toggle the start recording button to be active, so you should be able to click it, and then we'll now disable the stop recording because you have already stopped recording. That means you shouldn't be able to click it anymore. Now what we now do is that at this point we also need to set your user display property to none, not to block. So if you were sharing your webcam with us, we want to disable it. We want to remove it from the DOM because you stopped sharing your screen already. So we then remove this from the DOM. But now, once you stop sharing your screen, we want to display the screen recorder. Remember that each time we receive the unstop, or when we receive the unstop, we converted the chunks, all the things that we have recorded, all the screenshots we have grabbed, we converted into a blob, converted the blob into a URL, and then we pass that as a source for the screen recorder. So at this point now, when you stop, we want to show you, just like Loom, once you stop sharing your screen, we want to show you what we have recorded. That is just what we are doing here. So I'm going to say screen recorder dot style, no, not source object, dot style dot display is equal to block. So we want to show you what you have recorded as a video. Then you can click and play it and watch yourself. So one more thing that we need to do is to create a function that will be responsible for toggling the user. So when you click, let me go here. Where is it? Where is it? When you click here, we want to create a function that will handle this for us. So let's go back and say function toggle user video. So this function is what it's simply going to do is to say user video dot style dot display property, and then if it is checked, that means you have toggled it. We want to set it to block because we want to display your webcam. But if you don't check on it, we don't want to display it. Now, even if you're already displaying it and you click that you don't want to display it anymore, we'll set it to null. Now, after doing this, the next thing I want to do is to actually call all these functions that we have defined. So we're going to say that the start button dot add event listener on click. So once you click on the start recording button, we want to call the start recording function that we defined above here. The same thing for when you click on stop recording, we want to call the stop recording button. And also when you click on the toggle check box, when you click on this, either the label or the input, we want to listen for a change. That is a change, not really a click. The event is changed for checkbox, and then we want to call the toggle user video. So all this is what we need to have the screen recorder working for us. So with this code right now, you can record your screen and get it displayed. We'll come back for this to do. This to do is just for a simple thing. And then let's look at what we have here. So if I open a new tab and I add this, I want you to ask me for my camera permission. So if I click on start recording and I pick the entire screen once more, so it's supposed to ask me, okay, I think because I've done this a lot of time, so I think I just need to open a new browser to do this. So I'm going to click on stop sharing. If I go to this browser, for example, or this one, and I go here and I click on start sharing. Let me see whether it doesn't ask me that. So yeah, it's asking me to share my microphone. So this line of code, where is it? What is it? This line of code is running, so it's asking me to share my microphone. Once that is done, this line will run to ask me to share my camera. So let me go back. I think it is this one. Yes, I will allow it, and then it would ask me to share my camera. Yes, and I'll allow it. So now, if you notice, it's not recording. Why? Let's look at the terminal to find out why. So if you look at the terminal here, it says that DOM exception device in use. Now, why is this error occurring? For you, if you are coding along, you won't experience this problem. It will record fine. But for me, because I'm using a screen recorder already to record my screen, and I want to use this one, it wouldn't work because it's already in use. So I won't be able to do this recording. Now, I will come back to this. I will have a workaround. But before I go to the workaround, let me show you what I wanted to show you. I'm going to close this and I will go back to this. I would also have this like this, and then I'll just stay here. So let me share my screen again. I want to show you something. Now, if you look at this stop sharing button that is here that comes with the browser, we want to listen for this because a user might not click on this stop recording that we have here. The user might just click on stop sharing that we have right here. So we need to listen for that event and make sure that when a user clicks on that, we also stop recording. So I'm going to go back to the code. I will stop sharing and I'll go back to the code base. And right after before the start that I called, yeah, this place I have my to do. I want a comment that says stop recording when screen share is stopped. So when the user stops sharing. But how do we know that the user has stopped sharing? We need to listen for an event. So we're going to say media screen, media stream dot get video tracks. But we want to listen for the video tracks at position 0, and we're going to listen for what we call the unended event. So that is what is emitted when that is run. So we can listen for inactive when it becomes inactive, but what we want to listen for is when it has ended for this case. So unended, we want to stop. We want to just call our stop recording function. This one we call the stop recording function when we get this. So when we see this, we know that this user has clicked on the stop sharing button. But that stop sharing button was not created by us. It came with the browser. But we want to listen for the event. So this is how we listen for the event. And this takes care of that. So I'm now going to remove this to do. And then we are basically done. Now, before I forget, we need to add something right to the stop recording function here. So if you look at this place, you see that, let me scroll up a bit. These media tracks that we have here, we didn't stop them from continuous execution. We didn't stop them when we call the stop function. So we need to come here. After we tell the media recorder to stop recording, we want to say that the media stream, we are also going to call the media stream, and we want to say that we are getting the tracks that is in the media stream, and then we want to loop through each track. Remember that these tracks are just maybe audio or video or both of them. So any one of them that is present, we want to loop through it, and we are going to say that for each track, we are using the for each function, we want to call the stop method. So we want to stop. So we want to stop. I'm just going to copy it, and I will do the same thing for the user stream. So user media stream. Yes. So this is the only thing that we need to add here, so that when you call on stop, we also tell these guys to stop recording the audio and stop recording the webcam and also the screen. All right. So with that being said, what is left is for us to test. We now need to test. But if you remember this error, where is it? This particular error we have here, if you remember, which says device in use. So because of that, I won't be able to record, I won't be able to test this with my current video recorder already recording. So I need to turn off my video recorder, and then to even test what we are doing, I'm going to use this tool that we just built to record the next video. So we'll be testing whatever we built in the next video. So we are using the tool that we built to test if it is working. So yeah, the next video you're going to see will be recorded with this tool that we just built. So for your own side, this should work fine. But for me, because I'm recording and my video recorder is already taking all these devices, my camera, my get display media, my audio, then it's not allowing this one that we just built to take that. So that's why it says device already used. So yeah, the next video that you see, or the next frames that you will see, will be coming from this tool that we just built. Now we are testing. So if you look here, I'm actually recording with the tool that we created. So you can see this here. And then this is the URL. But just to make sure that we're on the same page, I'm going to go to here, and I will go to incognito mode, and I will click on, I will add this. Then I want to start recording from here. To start recording, pick a screen. I want to share the screen. I want to allow the microphone. I want to also allow the camera. Now I'm recording my screen. I can come here and I just say google.com. And we have google.com open up here. Let's close this. So now if I want to toggle my video, if I want to show my video, I click here. and you can see me right there. If I click on that, it goes away. If I click on it again, you can see me right here. If I click on this, it goes away. And then I can stop recording, or I can just click on stop sharing. So let's see if that works. But I don't want to stop sharing for everything. So please test it on your end. I don't want to click on this and then it affects every other thing. So I'm just going to use this one and say stop sharing. So, and this goes like, so I play the video and, oh no, I need to go back to the other one, which is this one here, which is the main one. And then I will say stop sharing. So right here, I just want to say thank you for staying to this point. Please subscribe to the channel. Give me your thoughts, comments right in the channel, what you think about this video. And if you'd like to see more of these, I would like to see what you can actually build with this yourself, how you can improve it. You can share a link to it and we'll see. I will check it out. Thanks for being here, guys.